Hello, vinyl community. Mike from Mike Guitar Player 07 here, coming at you live with another vinyl record video collab. And this time, we are hippieing it out. We are with Rod, the happy hippie, the vinyl guy.
What's going on, Mike?
Rocking and rolling, living life, spinning some tunes.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up.
Absolutely. So, as I'm sure you guys could tell from the title, we are going to be talking about some of our favorite Rolling Stones albums today. Our top three, and we are starting from our least favorite out of the three. So place three, go to two, and then go to one. So that said, and then we'll talk about the album in any way, shape, or form that we desire. I have a feeling that one or two might be the same, but we'll find out, and we'll go along with it. And we might just have different rankings for some of the albums. Who knows? So we'll see what happens. And Rod, you're the guest. So what is your third favorite Rolling Stone album?
This is what I'm playing in the background. I just want to shout out to Start Me Up, Tattoo You, Rolling Stones. I'm going to go with their last studio album of original material, and it's Bigger Bang. Great album. They came out with another album after this. It was all their favorite blues songs.
Oh, Blue and Lonesome or something like that?
Yes, indeed. In fact, I've got that back here. It was actually a gift from Melinda Murphy. I should show that.
Oh, you were so excited to get that.
Yeah. Oh, my God, I was. This is a great album. This is the first one recorded without Bill Wyman. And the reason I'm putting this in my top three favorite is because this had been their first new album in like many years. It was like a real dry spell for Stones fans. And this album, it just hit a note with me, hit a chord with me, man. Just a solid rock and roll album. Got a little political on one of the songs. He never quite said who he was talking about. It could have been our president. It could have been their prime minister. But it talks about, you call yourself a Christian, I think you're a hypocrite.
What year is that from?
This is 2009, 2010. So great album, solid rock and roll album by the Rolling Stones. And this is coming in at number 3 for me.
Was that the album that was right after Bridges of Babylon, or was there one in between those two?
I think this was the one right after that. And I wasn't a huge fan of Bridges, but I did order, they're coming out with their catalog. They're re-releasing everything. Yeah. So I had pre-ordered that, and I'm getting that, I think, Tuesday, Amazon said. And it was a good album, but this one for me was just solid album. I remember buying it the week it came out on CD, and I think I wore it out for months and months in the CD player.
Wow. Yeah, mainly comps in the early 2000s and all that from the Stones, like 40.
Yeah, a lot of live albums like No Security and stuff, which is cool. But I wanted some new music, man.
Yeah, I got you. Well, it's interesting that you pulled out Tattoo You, and that's the one you're listening to, because that's my number 3 choice.
Oh, awesome. Great album, man. I mean, great album.
Yeah. So this was their 1981 release, 16th UK and I believe 18th US release. And there are people who are going to get pissed at me right now, but this is the equivalent of Led Zeppelin's Coda for Rolling Stones, because this is a studio outtakes album pretty much. I don't know if there was a single original tune for this album or if it was just all stuff that they had recorded the previous decade, but pretty much there was some band member feuds going on right after the release of Emotional Rescue, the album before this, on top of at least that's what was claimed. Keith Richards in the 90s, in an interview, I believe he was quoted, I don't know the exact wording, but pretty much he said that the band wanted to tour with a new album but didn't have time to create all new material and do a tour. I don't know which one is the accurate statement. However, those are the two sides to the story behind this album. And yeah, as I said, it's Zeppelin's Coda, but I like Coda. Many people don't, but this is pretty much the Rolling Stones equivalent. But this was a lot more successful than Coda.
I have to agree with you. I've never heard it put that way or thought of it that way, but it is. Because Waiting on a Friend, Mick Taylor played guitar on that one. In fact, he sued the band to try to stop them from putting that song on the album. So I never thought of it, but it really is their coda.
Yeah, but definitely it's more successful in Coda. I love both albums. I mean, "Start Me Up" was the opening track to this. It's one of their most successful tunes out there, and even non-Rolling Stones fans know that tune.
"Start Me Up." It sounds like it could have come off the "Miss You" album, or
Yeah.
Some Girls album.
Yeah, but yeah, and they pretty much, due to whatever supposed feuds, pretty much the obviously they were all demos and stuff before this, or were incomplete forms. I don't think any of the songs were in complete form, but pretty much the band members came in when they were called and available, and then that's what happened. This is kind of one of the weirdest inner sleeves with this. Like, it almost feels like it should go on Goat's Head Soup with like the goat like hoof thing, but
Exactly. Even the 45 from "Start Me Up" came up with the little hoof thing, because I remember having it on my bulletin board at home.
did not know that.
Yes, it sure did. In fact, here's a funny story. I've told it before about Goat's Head Soup, man. I had some an aunt and uncle, and they were sweet people. But they came to visit, and I had the Goat's Head Soup thing on my wall, and they asked my mother if I was into the occult. I didn't even know what the heck the occult was at 14. I'm like, what? Do I what? No, I don't worship the devil. But anyway.
But yeah, this would become, even as the equivalent of Zeppelin's Coda for Rolling Stones, this would end up being their last #1 album. And I don't know how many #1 albums they had, but I know this was this was the last one. And the biggest hit single, as I said, was "Start Me Up." I was surprised that it only hit #2 in the US charts. It was like number 7, 8, somewhere in there in the UK, but that was "Tattoo You." "Hang Fire" was another hit, but it was only released as a single in the US and not in the UK, which is interesting because they were touring in the UK when that single came out. So I don't understand that logic. But then the other single that was on here was "Waiting on a Friend," which I don't really know well. I know that more as a deeper cut. I don't know how well that was, but yeah, a little bit of "Tattoo You."
Awesome. I got another story about this album. 81, I would have been 15. Philadelphia is real close to Washington, D.C., 2-hour drive, right? Maybe 3-hour drive. Well, I won tickets on the local DC station to the Philly show. The Rolling Stones always kicked off their U.S. tour in Philadelphia, then came to D.C. Well, my parents weren't going to let me go at 15 years old to Philly with me and my friends. So I won tickets and could never use them.
That's unfortunate.
That sucked. But my parents sold the tickets and gave me the money anyway. But that's my little "Tattoo You" story, right? Second for me, I'm going with "Emotional Rescue." Okay. And the reason I'm picking this album is because this came out the summer after 7th grade for me, and I was going to summer school. And I remember hearing it all the time on the radio. And it just, to me, it was a cool song. I just thought it was such a cool song. The album cover was cool. It came with that giant poster. And I remember it was one of the first albums that I bought. I was cutting grass or something during the summer, and I saved my money and got this. Emotional Rescue had "Summer Romance" on it, "Where the Boys All Go," "Send It to Me." I mean, I knew this album inside and out all summer long. This is not the original copy that I had. That's long gone. But I have bought it since then because it is one of my top Rolling Stones albums. And it's sentimental because I can remember it coming out and where I was and what I was doing. So I definitely had to pick that one.
That's definitely a good one. I have only heard that album once. It was in my uncle's collection that I got from him. And I listened to it once. I enjoy it, but I don't really remember it too well because I've only heard it once. But
right.
But I definitely...
And you can get it cheap, man. You can find it on eBay really inexpensive. And now that they've reissued all their albums from that time period, you could find it for $22 on Amazon.
Yeah, thankfully I got mine for free, but it would be nice.
There you go.
But it would be nice to see the poster because my uncle's copy doesn't have the poster anymore. But
yeah,
I didn't even know it came with the poster, if I'm being honest.
The cover was actually wrapped in the poster. So once you took the cellophane off the album, the poster came off. It was a giant size, huge poster.
Wow.
Like a 6 foot long poster.
Wow,
So
damn. It's pretty intense.
pretty cool.
So my second choice, I actually briefly mentioned this earlier, but Goat's Head Soup.
Great album. I could have picked it.
It's one of the two. This one and the next one are the ones that I think are the ones that you might have chosen. But now I got this secondhand. Well, all my Rolling Stones pretty much are secondhand because I wasn't around when these came out. But whoever owned this one originally took the shrink wrap off and then retaped it to the gatefold. I don't understand why, but you know, it is what it is. It's cool to see the hype
Kind
stick.
of odd.
What's that?
I said that's kind of odd.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. I mean, I'm not going to rip it off, but like,
Yeah.
cool to see the original hype stickers, but I just don't understand. But so this one has a custom inner sleeve as well, like the other one. Has some information about a little bit of glare, but it's pretty much has the titles of the tracks, some credits and all that, and then it has some photos of the band on the other side. I'm not going to take it out because it's difficult to get this inner sleeve out, and this is one of them that I need to clean and put a nice MoFi sleeve in. I'm still in the process of getting all my records in those. That's going to be a long process still. But, you know, this is one of my most played Rolling Stones albums. The most Rolling Stone album, the most played Rolling Stone album, I can't even English, is my number one choice. But this is number two. Now, 1973 release, 11 UK, 13 US, I want to say. And everybody talks about the Billy Preston playing with the Beatles. Well, he's on this album. So he's doing some organ work on here. And when I bought this, I went to this record shop twice in a row. And Rod, you like shout outs for record stores, so I'll give my record store a shout out, or the one I got this at. Spin Me Round. It was in Phillipsburg, New Jersey. Now it's somewhere in PA that I can't remember the location. If you've ever heard of Spin Me Around, but have you?
Nope, I've never heard of it.
No, okay. It's local to me, so it's a mom and pop shop one.
Yeah.
So, I ended up going back the next day because they always post their new arrivals, and I went the first day, got this. Thankfully, it was a weekend, and my parents were out doing their part-time job on top of their full-time job, so they were away for the weekend. You couldn't be like, Mike, why are you going to the record store 2 days in a row? But, yeah, the second day they had a 1970s reissue of Elvis's debut, so I was like, oh, I got to get that. So I went and got it. That was before I got the original mono from Noble Records. But so this is in one of those two piles. I can't even remember which one. But this album was one that I actually was passively listening to the first time. I knew the song Angie, and that was it. So I'm listening to it, and I was doing something on my phone. I can't remember what it was. It was late at night. And I get to the end of side at B, and it's the song Star Star. So I'm hearing, I'm a star fucker, star fucker, star fucker. I was like, excuse me? Is that really what the Rolling Stones are saying? Like, I had to do a double take. I was like, I had to lift up the styles and start the song from the beginning, put my phone to the side and be like, I've never heard the Rolling Stones swear. It was like the first time I ever heard
It's hilarious.
It's like the first time I ever heard Fair Warning, the album by Van Halen. He says fucking one of those songs too. And I was like, what? I mean, I know that Fair Warning album is a whole angsty album for Van Halen. A lot of troubles during that time. But yeah, this is originally they wanted to call the song Starfucker, but Atlantic Records would not allow it. And Atlantic Records is a distributor for Rolling Stone's own record label, Rolling Stone Records. Don't know if that's still the case to this day, but at least back in the 70s it was. And that song's kind of cool, not only because you little kids love to hear the F word, but also it has a Chuck Berry kind of vibe to it, which I love. A lot of this album has a 50s rock and roll vibe to it, like Dancing with Mr. D, for example, which had a lot of controversy behind it too, because they thought it was about homosexuality, because that's such a terrible thing. But sarcasm, by the way, for those who didn't get that. But it's really a song about a relationship with death, or a love affair with death.
right. See, we always thought it was about the devil, Mr. D, because you
Oh,
could hear the people, in the background chanting. But yeah, that's a badass song,
oh yeah.
Dancing with Mr. D.
But yeah,
Uh,
it's if they want to talk about a devil tune, well, they actually compare it to Sympathy with the Devil, which is a devil tune.
right.
So the
Yeah,
hit.
I bought that album. I was eighth grade. I had a girlfriend named Angie, and I bought it just because of that song. And absolutely fell in love with the album. Side one is probably my favorite side of any Rolling Stone album. I mean, Dancing with Mr. D, Heartbreaker, Angie, Coming Down Again. Holy moly, what a great side.
Oh yeah, and Angie was the number one hit single off this. I believe that Heartbreaker, also known as Do 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 Do. Why they just didn't call it Heartbreaker, I don't know. But that was the other single, but I don't know what that chart of that. But Dancing with Mr. D was a B side of Heartbreaker, though. So
Have you ever heard the band Lucifer, their version of Dancing with Mr. D?
I haven't heard their version of it, but I've heard that it's a good version, but I don't know anything about it.
Really cool, solid version. And they make it sound dark and they make it sound like, kind of creepy like that. So,
Huh. Very cool. Well, it's appropriate for the theme of the tune.
right, right. So cool. Am I next? Are you still going?
Oh, you're next. What's your number one Rolling Stones album?
Today it's this one, Beggar's Banquet. And this is the reissue. Came out a couple years ago, and this was the band cover in America, gatefold album. And this special edition came with a flex disc and a couple other goodies. But this is just a solid, solid album. I know I say that about everyone, but I absolutely love this Rolling Stone album. Sympathy for the Devil, to me, is just an amazing song. You have Street Fighting Man, Stray Cat Blues, which I think the Stray Cats actually covered that song. I love this album. So definitely, this is in my top 5 Rolling Stone albums ever. And today it's my number 1. So
Is that the 50th anniversary edition?
I believe it is, man. I think it is.
Okay. What's on the flexi disc?
It's just a real crazy interview with Mick Jagger, and it's a Japanese radio station, and it's more of him babbling than anything else. But the cool thing about this album is it comes with a mono copy of Sympathy for the Devil. So it comes with a full album redone. Then it comes with a one-sided 12-inch single with some cool etch work of Sympathy for the Devil in mono.
That's
And
cool.
it sounds really, really good.
Is the reissue the full-length album in mono as well?
No, it's in stereo. I kind of wish it was, but I'm happy with it the way it is.
It's kind of interesting how they made the 12-inch single mono, but the album in stereo. I wonder why they did that.
That's a good question, because I was kind of hoping the whole thing would be, maybe it's to get you to buy it. That way you could get a copy of Sympathy for the Devil in mono, So, but it's a solid album, Beggar's Banquet. I never understood what was wrong with this cover. It's just a toilet.
Well, back in those days, I mean, the Mamas and the Papas had the same problem with the toilet on their album cover too. I don't know.
But Sticky Fingers, you could show a male crotch, and that's cool, but you can't show it. It made no sense to me. Then I started looking in the background, like, was there something written on the wall that was like political or some craziness? But there's not.
No, I've never read the writings on the behind it, so I wouldn't know what's even written on it.
Just a bunch of nothing, really. It does say Bob Dylan's Dream, which is kind of cool. I guess that's their shout out to Bob Dylan on it.
Okay. But it doesn't say glory hole here or something like that?
No, it just shows some nasty old toilet paper. It looks like someone blew their nose on. A peace sign and really nothing. So, but it's a great album, man. It's
Oh, yeah.
just, and you know what? That was the last album that would feature Brian Jones, even though he was on 2 of the tracks of Let It Bleed. That was his last full album. And he experimented with sitar on it, and he played slide on one of the songs.
Oh, yeah.
Very sad it ended up being his last one.
Yeah, well, it was a very sad ending for him, that's for sure.
Yes, it was, definitely, man. But, I mean, they went on. I mean, they stayed with it, and they kept it up, man.
Oh, they're still rocking to this day. My uncle and aunt saw them, I think, in Phoenix within the past couple months. Not since the pandemic, before the pandemic. I want to say in the fall, but which must have been
amazing, man. He's like 70-something years old and still kicking ass, man. Just shit. It's amazing.
He's doing great. All right. Well, my number 1 album, for those who follow my channel, are probably not going to be surprised. 1967's Their Satanic Majesty's Request.
I almost showed that one, man.
This is the one that I assumed you were going to show. The other one, I thought Goat's Head Soup possibly, but this one I was almost positive you were going to show.
Yeah.
And you have the original press with the lenticular cover, don't you?
I do not. I wish I did. I do have an early pressing. At least I don't think I do. I'm looking for it.
I can't remember. I just know that Chris Has a Spin sent it your way.
You know what? It may be the original one. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but this one is a second press. The only time I've seen the lenticular cover in person.
No, it's not. No, it's not. But it is a cool pressing.
Yeah. I know that the only time I've seen this in person with the lenticular was the reissues, which, don't get me wrong, I'm not a snob when it comes to reissues versus originals, even though I prefer originals. But if I could get an original lenticular, that'd be killer. And also with the reissues, they lost the whatever it's called for the border of the cloud. So you'll notice on the reissues, the clouds on the border of the photo look different.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So 1967 release, Response to Sgt. Pepper. Very cool gatefold, even though this is an impossible maze to solve, supposedly. I've never tried, but that's the rumor. And then some nice photos there. Track listing on the back. I believe this border, I think, was lost too, so I think this one looks a little different as well in the reissues. But I know for a fact the front is. 6th UK and 8th or 9th US. Now, I talked about this album a little bit with showing it in the video I did with Mazzy, but this pays homage to the Beatles. Everybody's like, oh, the Rolling Stones and the Beatles weren't friends. No, that was a marketing ploy by the record labels. They were friends, and they were cool with each other. They play homage to each other. So John Lennon is showing up right there. There's an image. Okay. There's a photo of George Harrison there. Photo of George Harrison there. And that's the only homages to the Beatles on here. However, the Beatles, Sgt. Pepper, which came out before this, there's a... I should have pulled out the Sgt. Pepper album to show as an example with this. But on the one corner of the Sgt. Pepper album, there's a doll wearing a red and white striped shirt, and in the stitching of the shirt says Rolling Stones on it. So they're paying homage with both of them doing the psychedelic albums. I love them both. It's kind of, everybody always asks me, which one do you like better? I'm just like, they're both so good. I might say this one only because I haven't overdone this album like I have with Sgt. Pepper, because I've been listening to Sgt. Pepper since 6th grade. This in the past 2 years. So, but I love both albums. They're both great. This album was unique because it has various effects that you don't hear on any other Rolling Stone album. And the Rolling Stones actually hate this album for whatever reason, but I think it's great. But they use the theremin on this and the mellotron, which you don't really see on any other albums. The theremin, there's a hidden track on the end of side A after the song Sing This All Together, where it goes into a little bit of silence, and you think, oh, it's about to hit the dead wax. Well, you got another 30-something seconds of theremin music called Cosmic Christmas, the most demonic version of We Wish You the Merry Christmas that's ever been out there. But it's a fun Easter egg. But I'm just like, if that plays on the radio during Christmas time and not my Perry Como, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Right. Some DJ might lose a job for playing that one, man, especially back then.
Yeah, but also it's interesting. They have like snoring on the album. I believe it was Mick Jagger. They recorded him snoring on an airplane, and he didn't even know it was on there until they got the test pressing or the final pressing of the album. He's just like, "What the hell?" But it's kind of
That's hilarious.
the singles off this were "She's a Rainbow" and
Great song.
oh, it's killer. I saw an original single for that, but they wanted like 15-20 bucks for it, and I was like, I'm gonna pass.
Yeah.
I didn't look at the condition. I was just like, it had everything was intact. The picture sleeve was in good condition. It's probably worth the price because I'm sure on Discogs it goes for way more. But
Yeah. I bought the 10-inch single on Record Store Day last year. You know, they came out with the yellow 10-inch for it.
yeah, but yeah, if it's there again the next time I look at that record store, it was at Station One Records and Books in Pompton Lakes, New Jersey. If I go back there and it's still there and I have the money, I probably will get it because I kind of there's not many 45s I regret not buying, and that's one of them. So
Yeah.
and that was the most successful single off this album. It hit like number 25 around there. In Another Land was the other single, which was kind of surprising. I'm surprised In Another Land was a single because that's kind of, and it kind of explains why that single did so poorly. It like barely hit the 80s range in there.
It's like to me, it's a deep cut on the album. So why would they release that?
Like, and also that whole psychedelic sound that they do in another land, like that whole thing. I did it terribly. I can't.
I got you.
But those who know the song know exactly what I'm doing. I'm surprised the song "Sing Us All Together" 2000 Man was not a single, but they chose In Another Land.
2000 Man Kiss covered.
I was just about to get to that. I actually heard the Kiss version first.
You all right?
And then when I heard this album, I was like, wait a minute, I know that song. So I had to look up where else I've heard it before, and I heard it off of Kiss's Dynasty.
Yeah, it's funny because a friend of mine, he hated the Rolling Stones, but he was a huge Kiss fan. And I was like reading the back of one of his albums. I'm like, this is a Rolling Stones song. He's like, no, they just wrote it, but they never did it. Like, I've got it, man. Don't tell me they never did it. And it like pissed him off that they covered the Rolling Stones. Yeah, it was just a funny thing because he hated the Rolling Stones.
Yeah, and it's very interesting that on the Kiss's claimed disco album that they cover like a psychedelic rock song on it. But
right. I didn't even think of it that way, but yeah.
But I really like this. I mean, I like both versions. I'll always take the original version of at least that song compared to the Kiss version, but I'm not skipping 1000 Man on Dynasty either. What's cool about this album, this is a fun fact that when I did my video with Mazzy didn't know, which kind of surprised me. So I wonder if you know. But the title of the album, Their Satanic Majesty's Request, is a play on what is written on British passports, which say Her Britannic Majesty requests and requires, I believe, or something among those lines.
Did not know that.
So I thought that was kind of interesting. And this is the first Rolling Stones album to have the same release as in the US and UK and have the same track list and that whole 9 yards, which is interesting because the same thing with the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper, which came out a little bit earlier. So they were kind of playing off each other.
Right.
Many don't like the similarities to Sgt. Pepper and all that, but I don't mind it. But I like it. I think this is killer.
I think it's a good album, man. I like it. It could have been in my top 3.
Yeah, and I just got this on cassette, so now I have it on the holy trinity of record, CD, and cassette.
That's what's up, man.
Now we need it on 8-track.
If I ever find one, I'll send it to you.
Oh,
I still come across a lot of 8-tracks working in the antique district, in the antique world. People still bring me 8-tracks thinking they're worth money.
They're not worth much. They're maybe $5 maximum for one of them, but
yeah, I sell them for $1 a piece unless it's something really, really cool. I just want to get rid of them when I get them in my booth, so I sell them for $1.
Yeah, I know that you had like a sealed Aerosmith Rocks. I would have loved to have that. I don't have like.
I think I still have that, man. If I have it, I'll send it to you. If I haven't given it away yet.
Okay, sounds good. But there's like that, and I don't have a lot of 8-tracks. I only have like 5 to 7 of them. I mean, the coolest ones I have are like Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, Olivia Newton-John, and Quicksilver Messenger Service. I have a few others that are like, but I still enjoy them. Like there was something like the Raspberries or something like that I don't really know well, but enjoyed it when I listened to it, so I kept it. But I would love to have like Zeppelin, Def Leppard, Michael Jackson, Rolling Stones, all sorts of stuff. King Crimson. You know, one time I was at a record shop and I saw Cactus is self-titled with the red album cover and a phallic cactus.
Yes.
So just like when you buy cassettes, 8 tracks is kind of hit or miss because you don't know how good the tape is and you can't really test it. So I didn't have a price on it. So I was like, oh, how much does this cost? And they're like, I don't know. Let me check. So I'm like, I don't know what they're checking. Some record stores I know have their databases. Some record stores are just going based on Discogs and eBay. To each their own, whatever. But I was willing to pay maybe $7 max for it because it's an uncommon title and it's one I've been wanting. They wanted $15 for it, and I was like, there ain't no way I'm getting that for $15. If it was a record that I could see the condition of it for, that album would be worth it. But on an 8-track that I don't even know if it plays, no.
Yeah, I agree. You can put 8 tracks in, they go everywhere. You know what I mean? That little piece breaks off, and so yeah, 8 tracks are hit or miss, man.
Even more so than cassettes, and
yeah, I agree 100%.
And people have the testing stations for vinyl records. They don't have them for any other format. So it is a risk, and $15 it was not worth it. But 8 tracks I don't have a lot of, but I would love to have more. I'd love to get Quicksilver Messenger service on vinyl record or CD because I have that 1 8-track. It got me hooked, and then I saw Don over that Old Goats Vinyl show a recent find that he got at a Goodwill for like $1 or whatever of Quicksilver Messenger service, and it re-sparked my interest. So I've been streaming their albums again. I'm just like, yeah, I need them. I'm going to be pulling out my 8-track player again soon and pulling out that 8-track, even though I could stream it in better quality. I'm going to do it anyway because I can. But
yeah, I saw Quicksilver today. A friend of mine, Tony at Clefone Antiques, had a Quicksilver Messenger service album. He's like, you need to buy this. I'm like, I don't need to buy any more records right now. No, you need to buy this. I'm like, I don't want to buy it, Tony. Come on, like, chill out. But it was a cool album. It really was.
You know which one it was by chance?
It was the yellow one, I think, kind of a yellowish cover.
Oh, their second album, yeah. That album is almost all instrumental.
Okay, I didn't know that.
It's a great album. That's one I would love to own one day.
Really? Okay, cool. I may go back by and see him tomorrow and take your advice and pick it up.
Even if you get it for yourself and not for me, like, get it. It is so good.
Cool. I'll check it out, man.
I really enjoy that album and will love to own my own copy one day. I still need to send you something. You've been kind and sent me multiple VCLTs, and
no,
I just
don't have
anything that I want to send. I know you'd like, so.
No, man, you don't owe me a thing, brother. I enjoy sending it to people when I get a lot of extra copies of stuff. I'm very blessed, man. It was a week or two ago. I don't know if you saw, but I did a video. Somebody gave me a Metallica box set.
Oh yeah.
Never. In a Kid Rock album. I think it was the double record set one.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing that. Yeah.
And they were they were probably 10 or 15 years older than me. And they came in and they said, "You're the record dude." And I'm like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Well, our son," they didn't say what happened to him. They just said their son had these albums and it's taken them a long time to get the nerve up or the curve, whatever, to get rid of them. And they wanted them to go to a good home. And I was really touched.
Oh yeah.
I didn't have the heart to say, "Well, where's your son? Is he in the penitentiary or is he, what's
right.
up?"
Mm-hmm.
Is he going to come around looking for these albums one day? Like, "Hey, mother effer, you got my albums."
Mm-hmm.
But, I was touched they chose me to get them. So I don't know. I may trade them later on down the road, but for now I'll keep them.
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot of Kid Rock. He's not my favorite, but I don't dislike him either.
No, I'm not knocking Kid Rock at all. It's just nothing that I would. And Discogs is saying it's worth like $100, and they're selling on eBay for $100.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, his records go for a lot.
Yeah.
My grandfather had 2 of his CDs, so I have those. I don't mind them. I'm not getting rid of any of my grandfather's stuff, but I
grandfather listened to Kid Rock?
Apparently, he had the album Cocky and he had the album Rock and Roll Jesus.
That's hilarious. That's a cool grandfather if you think about it, man.
Oh, yeah. I'll never forget the first time I heard the album Cocky, and I was like in middle school or early high school, so I was still pretty innocent at this time. And I remember listening to the album. I borrowed it from my grandfather back when he was still with us. And I didn't even have a driver's license yet. So we were driving around in my mom's 2008 Chevy Impala. I popped it in. There's a song in there called "You've Never Met a Motherfucker Quite Like Me." She was not happy.
That's hilarious, man.
I swear, this with the Rolling Stones song "Star Star" and me talking about Kid Rock, I don't think I've ever had the F-bomb show up so much in a video before.
I don't think I've ever heard you drop the F-bomb, man. But you were talking about that song coming on. The album I showed, Bigger Bang, the Rolling Stones, and one of the songs, he goes, "I used to be one of your roosters, now I'm just one of your cocks." Well, my daughter, Courtney, who's growing now, and she's given me a beautiful grandchild, she was about 8 years old, 9 years old when that came out, and I had no idea she was listening to the lyrics.
Oh, no.
And she was walking through the house one day, and she sang those lyrics, and my wife was so mad at me, like, come have an 8-year-old girl's mouth. Oh my God, was I in trouble? You son of a bitch. So.
Oh, I swear, whatever. If I ever had to have a kid, which I plan to, but I got to get a woman first. You know, I don't know what I'm going to do when it comes to my music because I have such a wide variety and various types of language on them. I'll have the kiddie music too. I have inherited stuff like Sesame Street records and Aesop's Fables records and all that stuff. I haven't listened to them. I haven't even cleaned them yet, but I have them for when I have a kid maybe one day.
Yeah,
but
your kids, they'll call you out on what you listen to. We're at a park, I think it was in Dollywood in Gatlinburg, and Courtney, the same troublemaking kid, man, she was about 5 singing Sedated by the Ramones. And this woman at first just smiled because it's a little girl singing, and she was listening to what she was saying. I was like, oh, my God, Courtney, shh, be quiet, baby. So, yeah, she's got me a couple times, man. But
yeah, and that's not even that. And those, I mean, they're bad, but they're not even that bad compared to some of these lyrics out there.
But when you're in the Bible Belt up here at Dollywood, you know, the middle-class America, Wonder Bread kind of America, you know, and this little kid singing 24 hours a day, I want to be sedated, man. I felt like, okay, I'm Father of the Year. So.
Yeah, people think, yeah, it's definitely wild. People tend to think people got offended by Elvis Presley at one point. Now anything goes with music nowadays.
Yeah, no kidding. And the Beatles, they were afraid of the Beatles, man. They were going to turn their kids into freaking sex freaks and drug addicts, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely wild stuff. But anyway, we showed our Rolling Stones. We did a little bit of rambling for the folks. We could ramble more once we cut.
That's right.
I figured give some people some breathing room. We don't want to hold up all of their day.
Right on, man.
So,
I enjoyed this, Mike. Thank you for the invite, man. I feel honored hanging out with you, bro.
oh, yeah, this is great. I loved every moment. Thank you for joining me.
I'm sorry I was being rude. I didn't offer you a Twizzler, Mike. Go ahead and grab you one.
Oh, yeah, I'll have one right now.
All righty. Got to offer up Twizzlers to the guests, man.
Yeah.
So.
But anyway, if you guys don't know who Rod is, which for those who follow my channel probably do because I respond to most of his threads and I've entered his contests and talked about him with VCLT and all that, his links will be below.
Hey, thanks a lot, Mike.
Absolutely. For those who don't know Rod, once again, he'll be down below. Keep on spinning that wax, and I will see you in the next Final Record video.